So step one in the bread making process, get up as early as you can before anyone in the house gets up so you're uninterrupted. Put on your ugliest sweater, make sure you're comfortable, and get it done.
I think I like when it rains.
Good morning. It's kind of early here, being quiet because everyone in this house is still asleep and I want them to stay asleep. But it's Sunday, time to get my routine started, and that usually consists of making our bread for the week. I've been on this whole journey, people, a sourdough journey, trying to conquer this sourdough. And I think I've gotten it. I think I've gotten it figured out. This is my starter. His name is Abraham. Me and Abraham have had a crazy roller coaster of a time. Trying to get him very much so active was not an easy thing. It wasn't, but I think I figured it out. I found the cheat code. You know, I've read so many articles, all type of literature on how to start a sourdough starter, and it pretty much gave me a headache. It was just too much information. Measure this many grams of this, and this many grams of this, and I'm like, this is just ridiculous. You know, I come from the old school. When we grew up, we learned how to cook by watching. It was like, get in here and watch me do this, right? You see how this looks? This is how it's supposed to look. Taste this. Okay, this is how it's supposed to taste. We literally don't measure anything, right? We measure with love. We know what these things are supposed to taste like, right? And how they're supposed to look. And that's the same case with this sourdough starter. I started filming my sourdough starter journey with everything that I had read and had been told. It should take about 7 days to build up a good starter.
A bullshit. A bullshit. A bullshit. A bullshit.
I started out filming the process, but by day 4, I was like, you know what, I'm done. This thing isn't doing what it's supposed to do. Like, seriously, this relationship between me and Abraham started becoming toxic. Like, I'm like, all I want to do is love you. Like, come on, right? I'll insert the first 4 days, but I will tell you this. After day 4, I was like, okay, the gloves are off. What are we doing here? Like, seriously, what are we doing?
Come on now, dog. Come on, man.
I did not measure. I do have a scale, a wonderful scale, but I did not measure. I'm like grams and no, right? As long as when I went to feed him, it was like a little bit thicker than a pancake consistency, I found that he liked that most. I know this sounds kind of funny because I'm talking about the starter like he's a real person, but let me tell you, it was toxic. It was toxic, but we figured it out. We worked it out, right? But yeah, I think I figured it out around day 9. I made my first loaf on day 10. It turned out really, really nice. Surprised the heck out of me, let me tell you that much. But yeah, I'll show you the first 4 days. But after day 5, I was like, okay, what are we doing? What are we doing? Day 5, I fed him twice a day, in the morning and then at night. He did okay. Was I making discard recipes? No. I tried one time to make pancakes, and yeah, no, didn't work out for me. I'll leave that to the pancake people who are much better at those types of things. But yeah, I think I found a happy medium with Abraham. You know, like I said, after day 10 was when I made my first loaf, and it turned out amazing, turned out wonderful. And I put Abraham in the refrigerator. So funny. Why I named him Abraham? Can anyone guess? Because he's going to be the father of many loaves. Crack myself up. But anyhow, let me take you on this little sourdough journey. So step one in the bread making process. Get up as early as you can before anyone in the house gets up so you're uninterrupted. Put on your ugliest sweater. Make sure you're comfortable and get it done. Step two, make sure your starter is active. Try to feed it the day before or the night before. Okay, so yeah, day one with this starter, like I said, I didn't pull out my scale. I did approximately a 1-to-1. 1 cup of flour, 1 cup of lukewarm water. Not hot, you don't want to do too hot because any yeast that you might build up, you'll kill it with that hot water. So like baby bottle-ish warm. 1-to-1 ratio. I used unbleached flour. Do not use bleached flour. Bleached flour will kill the whole process. I had another jar off to the side that I wanted to do a little test on to see, okay, well, what will bleached flour do? Epic fail, waste of time, waste of flour. Don't do it. You want to make sure to get that flour and that water nice and mixed in together. You don't want any dry clumps of flour because what you're essentially doing, with this sourdough starter is building your own yeast. And that flour and that water, it feeds off of each other and the wild bacteria and yeast in the air, and it creates this wonderful environment. So we want to make sure that we give it everything it needs to be successful. Go ahead and cover it with a coffee filter or an old cloth or something that's breathable that will allow air in and out. That is essential. Okay, day 2, we had a little bit of action, a little bit of bubbles, not too much. Don't expect too much on day 2. Day 2, you're going to discard half. I think I discarded a little bit more than half, and I fed them again. More flour, more water. Oh, side note, I am not using bleached flour. Bleach will kill your sourdough starter. It will kill the yeast. So you have to use unbleached flour. You can use wheat flour, rye flour, anything but bleached flour. I didn't have any wheat flour at this time. So yeah, I used what I had. I did have some unbleached organic flour. Again, 1-to-1 ratio. I did 1 cup of flour to 1 cup of water. I'm not doing grams, 60 grams. No, and no. Got that all mixed up and well combined. We were rocking and rolling. Like I said, I didn't expect too much action on day 2. It's just discard, a portion and feed. That's it. That's all. And this is how we're looking after that first feed on day 2. First discard and feed. Fed him. He was happy. Put his sunroof top on him. Coffee filter. You can use a piece of cloth, a piece of an old t-shirt. Make sure it's clean though, but you don't want to seal it. You want to leave it open so that air gets in. Now, look at this. Day 3, we had a lot more action, a lot more bubbles. I was super geeked and super excited. I saw the bubbles. I was like, oh my goodness, we have action. I think we're going to do this. We're going to be in this for the long haul. But day 3, just like day 2, we're going to discard and we're going to feed again. Now, day 4, if you see that nasty looking gunky stuff on top, that is absolutely normal. It's a byproduct of the flour and the water. Fermenting is part of the fermenting process. That actually, some people will throw that out and some people will leave that. You'll see it once your starter becomes a little bit more mature. That part actually makes your sourdough, that sour taste. If you don't like it, it's fine to get rid of it. Okay, so this is fast forward a couple weeks. I was making some sourdough cinnamon rolls, pumpkin sourdough cinnamon rolls, and they turned out great. Yeah, that's my pumpkin that I grew. Yes, she did that. Well, we did that, me and Mr. Boots. We grew our own pumpkins, and so yeah, I made some sourdough pumpkin cinnamon rolls. They turned out wonderful. Again, I don't measure anything, y'all. Let me just tell you, I'm throwing stuff in here. The only thing I really try to measure just a little bit is basically the flour. You know, I never want to go in with too much flour. If I find a recipe and they're like, yeah, you need 3 cups of flour, I'm not going in with those 3 cups initially. I'll probably start out with like 2, because you can always add 2, but you can't take away. And so I don't want to come in hot with a bunch of flour, you know, and then my dough is just ruined because I'm like following this recipe, which was probably just, yeah, flawed from the beginning. So that's one thing I do, you all, when I try to come up with my own recipes based off of a recipe that I'm trying to follow. You know, I tweak it to what works best for me. Yeah, I'm gonna tweak any kind of recipe to what works best for me. But you see, I'm adding a little bit of flour at a time. I think this particular recipe called for like 5 cups of flour, and I think I ended up only using like 4 and maybe 4.5 cups of flour. I'm just adding a little bit at a time. I don't want to overdo it. And yes, I am using my stand mixer because I didn't feel like mixing anything by hand and getting my hands dirty that day. Don't come for me. Now look at this. This looks just about done, but it's not quite done. It's still a little shaggy, not too dry, a little sticky still, but I'm gonna let it go a little bit longer. Here we go right here. Yeah, look at that. It looks perfect. It looks perfect. Not sticking to the bowl anymore. Still, you know, soft and pliable. So what you want to do is you want to take this, put it in a grease bowl, cover it, and you're just going to let it do its thing. Sit and ferment and chill. Don't be tempted to bother this. Can you guess what I did right here? Can anybody guess? Yep, you guessed it. I forgot to add the eggs.
You cannot be for real. Oh my God, you for real? No, you for fake. No, you for real. You lying? You not?
Yeah, just when I thought I was getting around not getting these hands dirty that day. Nevertheless, it was an easy fix. Got it all mixed in and incorporated, and put that thing right back to rest. But yeah, nevertheless, got it all worked out, figured out, fixed, and we got those things in the oven and we were rocking and rolling. Thinking about doing a whole sourdough series on this channel where we go and do recipes together. I don't know, but in the meantime, in between time, I'm about this thing, family. Until next time, as always, I will keep you guys posted.